Right guys, how are things? Rian Bailey here, bringing you episode 6 of Ball Talk. This week I've got the first hurler on the podcast, Tipperary and Borrisoleigh hurler Brendan Maher. No my 15 this week, but we have plenty of topics to cover anyways. This podcast is sponsored by Adapt Athletic Performance and Therapy. You'll find a link to Adapt's page in the description of the video. Please like, share and subscribe for more, and I hope you enjoy the podcast.
That's good. So this is number 6 of Ball Talk. The first hurler on the podcast. I'm glad to say it's Tip and Borrisoleigh hurler Brendan Maher. How are you keeping, Brendan?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I'm delighted I'm the first hurler. That's a nice little touch.
A big award to get. We won't beat around the brush now, Brendan. We'll go straight into things. We'll talk about fairly current stuff, I suppose. I can see there you're in the gym there, yeah?
I am, yeah. I'm just down in the gym here. I was actually doing some videos there. I'm recording some videos for some online stuff. So I come down and do it here. It's a nice, bright area to do it, and nice, lots of space. And it's the one advantage of the gym being closed. I have it to myself now, so it's a nice little playground to have.
And just to add to that, tell us about the gym. You opened up the gym there only last year, was it?
Yeah, opened up last October. So just facility here in Borrisoleigh in our new GA complex. So we built a new complex, multi-purpose complex, and I'm basically leasing the space from the GA club. So we only opened up the beginning of October last year. So we were open 6 months and we had to close the doors, unfortunately. So it's tough to deal with, obviously, your first year in business in a small place like this. You know, like we'd have a pretty small base of members, and it was very much hinging on the support of the community in the surrounding areas. And in fairness, though, we went online now. We're doing online classes every day, and the support has been great. And you know, obviously, we're going to have to continue with that now for another couple of months. But obviously, just mad to get the doors open again and get people back in, because it was great. There was a nice buzz around. There was a new facility and a new resource to have around here. We didn't really have a proper gym, so it's a shame that it's closed up. But look, I'm not really complaining too much. I don't really tend to dwell too much on things like that. Try and see the positives, and enjoying the online stuff. I have 3 great instructors, 4 actually really good instructors working for me and doing classes there every day. So I'm the man behind the screen doing all the emailing and the admin stuff for the bookings. So I'm enjoying it, and it's going well so far.
Good stuff. Just kind of on the topic of the gym and that, I know you did your cruise ship there in 2018. It's 2018,
that's right. Yeah, June 2018. Yeah.
And before we go into like the ins and outs of the injury and your road to recovery and stuff, was you setting up a gym? Was that something that you wanted to always do, or is it something that kind of you were spending so much in the gym doing recovery that you're like, I know a lot about this from the recovery side?
No, it definitely helped, I suppose, in terms of the way I designed the gym and the equipment I put into it. But in terms of where that came from, it was more, I got my qualification with Shinty College back in 2014. And I actually started working out of Holy Cross GA Club, which is just over the road from us there in mid-Tipperary. And I managed their gym over there with another friend of mine for 2 years. And finished up there at the end of 2017, and then the new building was being built here, and the club approached me to see would I be interested in setting up. So it was kind of in the pipeline for a number of years, really, while the building was being built. I knew it was happening, but these things take time. It's a massive building, and it took 3 to 4 years before it was actually finished. And thankfully, then we got opened up October last year, 2019. So I was delighted to get the doors open, but the injury in that, I suppose, would have meant that I saw a different side to preparation in terms of physical prep and prehab, and just, making sure the body is right. So it definitely helped my philosophy on the whole thing, but wouldn't have been the main reason, I suppose, for opening up.
Yeah. Well, just on the injury itself then, so you did your cruise ship in a Munster Championship game against Clare in 2018, is that right?
That's right, yeah. 10th of June, I think, 2018. It was was a poor year for us with Tip. We ended up being knocked out that day. Actually, that goal that was scored actually when I got injured. So we were 2 points up. I think a few minutes left. I think time was more or less up. Maybe 5-6 minutes to go. Ball broke on the left wing. I was playing right wing back. So I tried to run back to Podge Collins was running through, and I tried to chase back to cut across him. He sidestepped me, and I tried to turn back, and he just gave way under me. So there was no contact, no jump really as such. It was literally I was trying to plant and rotate all in the one action at full pace. And I just felt the crunch at the time. I knew like this is not good. And I've a nice slow-mo video of it. You can see the bone, the knee going, giving way nicely. So I remind myself of that every so often, just to remind myself where I've come from, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that was the 10th of June. I didn't have surgery then until I had a lot of damage done. Something that actually wasn't really known at the time was I did more damage than just the ACL. So damaged posterior lateral tendon at the back of my knee. Did meniscus damage at both sides, and had quite a lot of cartilage damage done as well. So they needed to give me a bit of time to actually let the knee settle and let those parts kind of heal a little bit before he actually operates. So he gave me 6 weeks. And during that time then, basically, I gave every day over in the physio with Paddy O'Brien, just building up the leg, making it as strong as possible. And had surgery then on the 20th of July, I think. Yeah, 20th of July. Was my surgery date. And from then on, it was kind of just, I won't say it's straightforward, but there's no, like, I remember at the time when I did mine, I started messaging people, trying to find out what did you do, so I remember Michael Fennelly texting me and telling me, about Henry, how he came back better. And I remember I messaged Bernard Brogan just to see if there was that an extra, but there actually is no real, there's no secret that the inter-county lads or no, it literally is. You get your program, you get your rehab program from your physio from S&C, and it basically just hinges on how your body reacts and how diligent you are with the rehab. So, I devoted myself 100% to it. I gave every day doing something for it, and then that turned into kind of one rest day a week. Our S&C coach that came in with Tip then later that year was kind of integral to my recovery. I felt Carbow Carolan, he's our current S&C. He basically worked with me one-on-one and started meeting me in the mornings before work, getting stuff done, working on my mobility, working on single leg strength, and just basically took it to a whole new level for me. So that kind of combined with the stuff I was given by Ray Moore, the surgeon, and Paddy O'Brien, the physio, just kind of all added to a fairly straightforward recovery, thank God. And
in the recovery, it's a long process. You'd hear of so many people, I suppose, cruciate, whether it be, there's different, as you said, there's different strands of it and stuff. The cruciate injury is something that's become more known, I suppose, let's say the last 10 years or so, because physios are becoming more involved in county teams and club teams. People are just getting aware of the terms and stuff. And what was your motivation to come back? Was it just to play hurling again, or did you have a goal in mind? Because you won a lot when you came back in 2019 as well.
Yeah, there was a few elements to it, I think. The main one was to be able to show people, and to prove to myself that I could overcome a challenge as big as that. At the age I was 29 when it happened. And, a lot of people within the county here had me retired and written off, saying, I'll hardly get back playing with Tip. That motivated me. But to be honest, all of those external factors they all exist and they might help you in different ways. But for me, it was the internal thing of saying, right, you're faced with a challenge here. Do you want to just go through the motions and not hurl again and be able to say you finished on an injury like that, or do you want to use this as an opportunity to become better in every asset and every aspect of your game? And that's the path I chose. I decided I'm going to improve my strength levels. I'm going to improve everything I can to make sure I'm better coming back from this. And I didn't say I want to be back in 6 months. I just said I'm going to give this everything I can, and I want to be back whenever that is. I want to be better than I was. That was kind of the approach I took.
Yeah, and as you said, when you come back, you want to be better than you were. You came back, you got an All-Star last year, you won the All-Ireland with Tip, and you got to an All-Ireland club final with your club as well. Talk me through last year. It was it just seems like a serious roller coaster. You're after winning an All Ireland with Tip, you go straight back into club then, and you're going up to Croke Park with your club.
Yeah, it was mad. We had been kind of down in the dumps like for a number of years. Not down in the dumps, but we were kind of nearly there a lot of years. You know, getting beaten in county semi-finals, county quarter-finals, and just, you know, failing to kind of jump that final fence. And we had made the county final in 2017, but got a fairly significant beating by Thurles Sarsfields, who were a great team at the time. That was their 4th county title in a row, I think. But the injury then to myself and to 3 actual other kind of key players on our club team for 2018 meant 2018 was a bit of a write-off.
Yeah.
But it really motivated the group, I think, to get going. We got everyone back fit, and we made a good start to 2019. And then we just had a little bit of a hiccup in a divisional final, and that everyone kind of wrote us off then. It was funny. We'd been going, like, we'd been Tipperary and Borrisoleigh, like, and we were winning games comfortably. We hadn't, you know, our semi-final in the division, we had went to extra time, but that was we were after playing a number of games in the bounce, and after the divisional final, Killadangan, who we ended up beating in the county final, bet us comfortably, and it kind of meant we were able to kind of go back into the long grass a bit and train away, and, you know, like, there was good belief there that we could win a county final, and thankfully we got that a tough game against Killadangan, again in the county final, bet them by 3 points. And then it was kind of just bonus territory after that. Like, we played the week after. So we went on the beer for 2 or 3 days, like, after the county final. We said we're going to celebrate this. Like, it wasn't as if we were thinking, like, God, we have a Munster semi-final here now in 7 days' time, lads. Let's cut back. Like, we were like, no, we're celebrating this 33 years. Like, I wasn't even born last time we won a county final. So we celebrated. We didn't hold back, but we got back down to the field on the Wednesday night, and it was kind of just a sense among the group, like, that, lads, that was great, like, but geez, like, if we can put in a performance here Sunday, we have a Munster final to look forward to, like. And thankfully we did that. We just had a bit of freedom, and I think that's what the county final did for us. It just liberated us a bit, like, to say, like, let's just go out and have a crack, like, we're in bonus territory now, and nobody's expecting anything from us. So we bet Glen Rovers in the semi-final the week after the county final, and that set us up then for a game against Ballygunner. And at that stage then, all the talk was Ballygunner, Ballyhale in an All-Ireland. Like, it was literally just a matter of time. And people had already started talking about it back in November. Like, so that gave us a little bit of a, you know, an edge, like, to say, like, let's try and upset the odds here. And again, complete underdogs, nothing to lose. Poor enough conditions down in Páirc Uí Rinn down at the end of November. And we managed to beat them. Beat them by a point for a finish. So sure, that was just like euphoria then. Like, you didn't know what way to feel, you know. So you go from so many years of dreaming of winning a county final, and next thing you're Munster final winners, you know. So sure, that rolled on. Then it was a very quiet Christmas in Borrisoleigh with the new format. We were playing on the 5th of January against St. Thomas's in the semi-final, and that turned out to be, I suppose, for me, it was probably a game that people spoke about, the pint I got, and that was the broken hurley one. But that obviously was, like, again, we were underdogs. There was nobody expecting anything from it. It was like, God, they were great to get this far, but we reckon St. Thomas's will take them. And it was the same with the Ballygunner game. We rolled into the Thomas's game, and then obviously culminated into the final against Ballyhale. And look, I mean, the final, like, they're such a good team. It's not as if you say, like, oh, we should have won it, but we were disappointed with some elements of our play. We didn't take our chances, where it was just nerves, I suppose, got to us, and it was just too late. We were actually kind of we were starting to come back at them in the final minutes, like, and if the game had went on another 5-10 minutes, God only knows what would happen. So we were kind of starting to get a bit of a feel in the game at that stage. But in fairness to Ballyhale, they kind of kept us at arm's length the whole game, and we never really threatened them. Apart from the last few minutes, you know, we got to within 2-3 points from them. But unbelievable experience all the same to be back up in Croke Park, representing your club. It's right up there. It's on the top of my list, anyway.
And just as you were saying there, that Christmas, how he had won the Munster final, and then going on to an All-Ireland semi-final, and you were saying how you won the county final, you went mad on the beer. After you won the Munster final, did you treat that the same? Did you go mad on the beer then again, or then were you like, no, we've got a semi-final to win? Like,
We celebrated very same. Yeah, we had a few days of it after the Munster final. That was the end of November, so we had 5 or 6 weeks, I think, until the Thomas's game. So he kind of gave lads a couple of weeks off. We actually took 10 days off training, and lads the following weekend then of the Munster final, some lads went a whole week at it and like got a good blowout. But once we kind of started training then again, like, it was actually enjoyable. Like, I remember training, I'm here now, so I'm looking out at the pitch, and it's a shame like there's nobody allowed out in it, but we trained here Stevens this morning, like, we trained at 9 o'clock, like, and it was just so surreal to be training for a match on Stevens this morning, like, but I just remember there was the buzz that was around the place, like, it was just unbelievable. It was just great times, like, and coming down to training was so easy, even though the weather was poor and that, like, I mean, sure, you were just buzzing to come down training, knowing that you were looking forward to a game. And it was a great time, and it was a great experience. And you know, for us then, it's such a shame, like, after getting that momentum going and having a decent team now, that GA action is on hold. Like, there's a few of us not getting any younger. Like, we have a few lads now that are well in their 30s, so time is precious. But look, it is what it is.
Yeah, and just like this is the question you've probably been asked, I'm sure, after that amazing year at the club last year, and you've got 3 All-Irelands with Tip, would you swap one of them for a club, or would you swap all 3 of them for a club?
I would, I'd swap all 3, 100%.
All 3 for the club.
No, I've always said that, to be honest, really. Like, it's the cliche of club before county, but I'd be always very much like, I just find that special kind of bond of playing with. I've played with my brothers, I've played with the cousins, you know, friends I've grown up with. I really cherish that. I absolutely love playing for Tipperary, and it's a huge honour. Yeah. But obviously, if you're giving me one or the other, I'm going to pick the club. Like, and the Club All Ireland that day, even despite not winning, that day is probably the best day of my hurling career. You know, to be able to represent your club up in Croke Park was unbelievable. Yeah. It was just, it's a shame the result didn't go our way, but it's still, the whole journey of last year is one that I think we'll never forget here in Borrisoleigh.
Massive. It's actually, you've kind of summed up a few there, because I was going to ask you your career highlight as well, but that's probably
that's answered already.
That's answered already, yeah.
But look, I'd kind of separated though as well, like, career highlights. There's more than one, like, so, when I think of my inter-county career, like, obviously the 3 All-Ireland wins stick out, as highlights. Like 2010, they're all a highlight in different ways. Like 2010, we were obviously, there was a bunch of us that came out of minor. We were after winning 2 minors, and we had a good under-21 team, and we ended up winning the senior then and the under-21 within 6 days of each other. So that was an unbelievable year, like, to be under-21 and win your senior All-Ireland and under-21 All-Ireland all into one. And then obviously 2016 being captain had its own kind of special honour and pride, I suppose, to be able to bring the cup back to Borrisoleigh. Like, there's 4 of us now that have captained Tip to All-Irelands from Borrisoleigh, so to be able to kind of be added to that list of the 3 lads, like, it's Sean Kenny, Jimmy Finn and Bobby Ryan were the other 3 winning captains. So to be able to add your name to that, obviously, is hugely, it's a huge honour for me. But then 2019, then for me personally, was the injury, I suppose, and the comeback from that, and just getting back to a higher level. So they're all precious in different ways. Like, and I'd say if you talk to anyone that has won multiple All-Irelands, like if you talk to the lads in Cork from their multiple winning teams, or all the Kilkenny boys, they'll probably find it very hard to pick one over the other. They'll cherish every one of them for what they were, because that's what you should be doing. You cherish it for what it is, and it's the journey of that, and then it's a new journey, and every one of those journeys, like, are special in different ways.
100%. And just on that 2019 as well, like, it's one of them sort of things with, as we said, with the cruise ship, some guys come back from it. Some fellas take longer to come back. Some fellas come back and they could be on the shelf again in 3 weeks, in 3 months. But then you've got some stories that's sort of like nearly a fairy tale sort of story, with you coming back and winning so much. Talk to me about that semi-final against St. Thomas's. Like, I spoke to Sean Quigley there about 2 weeks ago, and he said there was a game that he played against Laois, and he scored 2-8, and they said it was one of them days you just couldn't do wrong. And I suppose St. Thomas's, would that have been like that for you? Like you're there in the space of what, 30, 40 seconds, scoring a point, one with the full hurl, one with half a hurl.
Yeah, like it was kind of one of those things where, I don't know, I suppose you just get into a situation where, like, it was kind of just, I remember just my thought process at the time was, I took a touch with the hurley before I actually struck the ball, and I managed to get the touch. And I remember thinking, if you got the touch, you can strike. This was all obviously milliseconds thinking, but
yeah.
I remember like, oh, I have a touch here now. I'm after getting the ball. I'll be able to hit it. Like, so, like, it's not a hit and hope, but it is a risky shot. Like, it was kind of like I had no real other options because most of the lads had sat back. So the fella who passed the ball to me, Jack Hogan, was probably closest to me. And I remember, I think Kieran Combe was running through from deep as well. But I had no real other option. I wasn't going to start trying to solo with it. I said, look, I'll try and get the ball dead at least, and try and waste up another 30 seconds because we had gone ahead. Like, we were after getting the goal. We were gone 3 up, I think, or 2 up.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just one of those, like instinct is great. Like, and we always talk about trusting your instinct in sport. Like, and that's built up from hours and hours of practice and hours of striking ball, and I suppose that's where it comes from. Like, if I was down in the park here messing around, like, and I was handed half a hurley, I'd have a go at hitting the ball because you just think, sure, I'll try it, like, and like maybe it stemmed from things like that. You just kind of say, like, sure, may as well, like, I'll have a go. And sometimes you just have to do that in sport. You just have to take a risk to get a reward, and thankfully, I suppose I got my reward out of it. But I could have easily, like, made myself look like a fool and missed the ball, like, so. Like, it's fine margins, like. But yeah, like, I suppose things like that just happen without much thinking, like, they just kind of happen, and then you kind of go, oh God, that worked out, like. So, yeah, it's one of those things that you're not preparing for something like that, like, on purpose. You're not practicing those type of things in training. But they do stem from something. I think they do stem from, practice in other ways, like, so.
Instinct, as you said.
Exactly. It all builds, it all helps, and it all reinforces those patterns that you'll have in a game where striking, blocking, hooking, tackling, that's all built up on the training field.
Yeah, and if anyone hasn't seen it, I'd seriously recommend checking that video out as well. We're going to go back a few years before that, Brendan, when you did the toughest trade. The IB.
Oh yeah.
You're down in Australia. How did you find that whole experience? Like, did you get a phone call one day and, like, oh, how do you fancy going playing cricket? Or, like, how?
Like, it was a fella I'd kind of come to know over the years there through different things. Gave me a call. He actually gave me a call a few years, even was it a year before or 2 years before. Kind of saying, like, this could be in the pipeline. It was actually. When Jackie Tyrrell he did baseball, was it the year before or 2 years before?
Okay. Yeah.
Jackie had done baseball, and they had rang me about that, saying, like, this might be coming up. They have a few names in the hat, and ultimately they went with Jackie. So this was kind of then a follow-up saying, look, we're happy with how that one went. We have a new one coming. Are you interested? So I said, yeah, sure, why not? Like, may as well. It was at a time of year, like, I went over there more or less straight after Christmas, started January, so it wasn't interfering with any of my league games or anything like that. Yeah. I think I missed one training session or something was all. It was a cool experience. Like, it was full on, I'll tell you, like, the filming and all that. Like, they're literally filming like 10 times the amount of time that they'll actually use. Like, they have to film, so they needed like 30 minutes or something, or 1 hour they wanted of footage. So it was literally, like, it was even more than 10 hours of filming. It was ridiculous. Like, it was every day, just doing different shots and different angles of different things. So I nearly felt like you were trying to act at the end of it, like, you to repeat yourself so much, like.
Yeah,
so you do something, you say something
on you as well, like, to see how you're.
You do something like, like, you do something in one of the trainings. I remember, like, I had to repeat the same thing about 5 or 6 times because they wanted to get different angles of it. This kind of stuff, like, that you just don't see behind the scenes. So, like, I didn't really enjoy that element of it, but obviously the experience of getting to go down to Australia, experience a professional setup in a sport that I had really no knowledge of, and just see how relaxed it all was. Like, it was mad, just, how much they enjoyed it, just the training, and even the build up to the game, like it was just completely different to what we're used to in the GA. I think like there was no big team talk beforehand. It was all very relaxed and talking through more tactical stuff, like, and who's going to bowl and who's going to do all this, like, and trying to predict what the other team are going to do, and they literally just walk out onto the pitch then to start, like, and afterwards then it was cool to see it, like the other team, the visiting team, came into the Adelaide home dressing room, and they all had a couple of beers together, like, and chatted away for half an hour, like, and they're all professional sports people, I suppose, and they all know each other because it was the 2020 stuff that I was there for, so it was actually it's like a separate block, a condensed season. It's like an 8-week season, and so you could be playing for like a state, and then you get signed by this team to play. It's like a little condensed championship for all the world. Okay. So a lot of them knew each other from other teams, like. So yeah, it was a cool setup now, and just nice to see, even just from a sports science point of view, what way they were monitoring players, and just, I suppose, the relaxed attitude they had. It was refreshing, I suppose, just to experience it.
And that, as you said, the relaxed sort of attitude and that, and the players meeting up after games, did that give you a different outlook on hurling then? Is it something that you think could actually work in, whether it be club or county level or whatever?
Yeah, like, it definitely did. It got me thinking a bit, all right. Because I was probably one of those players that would just try and do everything right and take everything so seriously, and not step out of line in any way, shape or form. And not that I step out of line now, but I think I'm more relaxed in my approach. So, I try and enjoy it a little bit more. And, the lads that kind of tell us to shut up while you're stretching in a warm-up, like, say you're not allowed to talk kind of thing in the warm-up. Like, I probably would have been one of those lads, like, years ago, like that. I was, like, so tuned in. I'd be like, like, everyone has to be disciplined here 100% of the time. Whereas now, like, I kind of try, and I think I'm better at, separating it like that. Right, well, I need to be focused for this part of the session now. So I treat the warm-up as I try and enjoy it. And then, like, I'm slowly building myself up to, like, right, let's go now. It's 100%. Let's focus on the session and get the most out of it. Whereas, before I was probably, like, even from the moment you step inside the dressing room, I was, like, just too serious. So now I try and enjoy myself a little bit more, and I try and enjoy myself a bit more on the pitch then as well, so it definitely does. It definitely had an impact on me. That, among other experiences, just like general life experiences, even can help you, I think, where you can put things into perspective and realise that sport is sport and there's a lot else going on in life. And I think having another focus as well outside of sport can help. It definitely helps me. It's like, everyone is different, but that's what I found had a positive impact on me, is where I just relaxed my approach a little bit. I'm still obviously very diligent in my training, and I do my gym work, I do my prep work, I do everything still, but just with a little bit more of a relaxed attitude.
Yeah. And just on the same sort of topic as well, you're saying about discipline and stuff, like, say, like drinking bans and stuff like that. Do you think there's something that should be enforced? Like, is there a time and a place for them? Like, maybe once championship starts, or once knockout championship starts, or should it be straight from the league? Or like,
it's like, there's probably been rumours of different drink bans in different inter-county squads, but I've never actually been involved in a squad that had an actual drink ban in place. We've never had a drink ban in place, and we've never had a problem with it. If you have a team that has a common goal and a good bond and unity, you'll hold each other accountable. So if someone does step out of line and go out in the beer, like, they'll be told, like, that was out of line, and they'll apologise to the group, or they'll, it doesn't really happen, I think, in inter-county squads now anyway. Like, everyone has gone so disciplined with their approach. Like, you wouldn't be able to train with the demands of inter-county now. If you were to try and get a night out in the middle of a training week, like, you'd suffer big time. Like, so, we get out. Like, I think the approach that we've always had, and we have it in the club as well, is, like, there's a time to celebrate and there's a time to knuckle down, and it's about agreeing on that and making sure that, like, if it is agreed, like, right, well, lads, we'll knuckle down now for a good 4 weeks ahead of championship, then that's what you do. And if you step out of line, obviously that's a problem. But it's not as if, like, you're stopping the lad having a glass of wine with dinner, or having 1 pint if that helps him to relax. Like, we wouldn't be that strict, I know, in our setup anyway, as in the club setup. But like, as regards inter-county, you just can't drink like while you're training. It's not possible. Like,
it's full-time commitment. Like,
you're training it's full-time commitment. Like, you have 6-7 sessions a week sometimes. So, you just wouldn't be able to get through it. Your body would break down.
Yeah, something that I spoke about the last few weeks, sort of from a different angle, I suppose. The last few weeks, I talked to Joe Sheridan about it, and to Enda Smith and Kieran Byrne as well, and it was about the international rules. But obviously talking about the football side of things there.
Yeah.
But the composite rules, the Shinty sort of hurling stuff, you've played that a few times. Yeah,
I've a couple of years of it played. Yeah, really enjoyable. They're mental, like Scots. It was great crack though. We went over for 2 years for 2 trips over there. And like, it's tough games, like, because they're fit and they're hardy out, like, and their sticks are made out of willow, so they don't really break, like. So if you get one across the shins or the leg, like, it's lethal. So we all wore shin guards, like, we were all making sure to wear shin guards, and I've never worn shin guards in my life, but I wore them that year playing the Shinty, because, like, to get a belt, I remember I got a couple of nasty ones in the knees, like, and had a few nice belts after. But that's a good experience. Like, the Shinty doesn't get the same exposure, obviously, as the international rules or the football and Aussie rules, but it's still a nice experience, because the way they do it is they limit Ireland, will say, in the Shinty to, I think, is it 4 players from kind of McCarthy Cup teams. So
right, yeah.
you can only have 4 players, like, from stronger teams, we call it. So it's a nice thing for those players to be able to mix in and play with players from counties that you'd never play against or play with.
Yeah.
So, like, I played with lads from Mayo and Donegal, and just lads that you'd never be playing against in inter-county hurling. So it was a really cool experience that way. And then just, it's a nice trip, like, because it's a good weekend away. It's a nice experience to play out of Ireland, and the under 21s or under 20s is going to be, if it goes ahead again. They travel as well, so you have 2 groups going over together, and it's always it's a good trip, like.
And would you meet up with the Scottish lads then? Would there be like a sort of...
Yeah, afterwards there's a kind of a function, and they'd always come over to it, yeah. And sure, look, they're great crack. They arrive on in their kilts, and they're mad, like. So we'd have a few drinks with them and enjoy their company. But, like, once you're out in the pitch with them, like, they take no prisoners, like, they're tough men, and they're kind of mad to show you how tough they are then as well. Do you know what I mean? They're like, well, the Irish lads coming over now, we'll show them, like, they're not as tough as us, kind of thing. So it's always, like, it has a few games now, like, I've watched a few, and the ones I played in, like, it was fairly hot and heavy, and there was always a few scuffles involved in them, like.
Yeah, and it's something that, like, you get only a few videos of it on YouTube, really. It's something that should get more TV time, I suppose.
Well, it's really enjoyable to play anyway, and I enjoy watching it. Like, I haven't played it, I suppose you maybe have a bit of better appreciation for it, but like, TG Carr covered a few years there, like, and it's great. Like, they're really good to cover it, and like, I think it didn't get the exposure maybe that it deserved, or maybe just people just didn't realise it was going on. There wasn't the same commercial backing, I suppose, as there would have been for the compromise rules. And look, that's fine. I mean, I suppose in general, Gaelic footballers are probably more higher profile because they don't wear helmets, or that they're probably more publicly known anyway. So the Shinty and the compromise rules is maybe reflective of that.
Yeah, and it as you said, it's enjoyable to watch. Something that I spoke about with Kieran Byrne a few weeks ago. He was saying about the international rules and the football side of things, how they've changed the rules a bit, and it's taken that bit of an edge out of it.
Yeah.
But there's still that edge in the Shinty composite rules.
Yeah, they haven't really changed it. Like, it's you can't catch the ball, so for us it's a bit alien. Like, it's a different kind of a focus where you have to really concentrate on not catching the ball. It's you take it on the hurley and strike. I think you can catch out of the air maybe, or I can't even remember the exact rules now. But you can't kick the ball, I think, and a couple of other things like that. So just a few little things, like, it gives you a different focus, and it's a different bit of a challenge. And, like, it obviously makes it more skillful to see hurlers like doing things without catching the ball. Everything is stick work, like, so. That was kind of what I enjoyed about it. You know, and I remember Richie Hogan played on one of the teams I was on. And I can remember some of the scores he got were just outrageous. Like, Willie Highland was another guy who played with from Laois there that just did some unbelievable things. Like, so it was enjoyable from that point of view.
Yeah, some fellas just click to it straight away. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let me see now. Just apart from that, really, just a few quick fire questions people sent in on Instagram. Okay. So, first off, your favourite boots that you've ever worn?
Oh, Manias, white-soled Predator Manias back. I was starting out playing minor, I think, so I was under 16, about 2004, 2005. I just remember Sean Og having them in 2003, and I got them. Say I got them even that year, maybe, or the year after. But they were always my favourite. I scrubbed them after every time I wore them. I tried to keep the sole as white as possible, and I minded them as much as I could. And I can remember, like, just the pure despair of not being able to get another pair. Like,
they're hard got
started going. They're very hard got. I have a friend here in Borrisoleigh actually that has about 5 or 6 pairs that he has bought over the years, but he's literally just like stacking them up. He's not playing. He used to play soccer. He's not playing anymore, but he will not part with them. Like, no way, he's holding on to them. Like,
there's a friend of mine after going dash buying them now. He has 3 pairs bought in the last 2 weeks. He bought he bought a pair of the remakes as well. You see, there's all these different websites doing remakes now.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
I know what they'd be like for running on, but
that's the thing. Like, you see, with the blades now, there was probably a lot of people against the blades, saying that it was bad for biomechanics and that like twisting and turning with the blades. Well, it wouldn't be a good idea, so I don't think I'll take the chance.
They'll be grand now if standing goals maybe or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That might do it.
When I'm finishing out, if I'm finishing out my career in the goals, that would be the time then to pull them out again.
Take them out again. Let me see. Next one. Your favourite tip jersey that you've worn? There's been some nice ones over the years now.
That is a tough one now. Do you know what? I'd say last year is up there for me. I like
a bit of a white trim.
Yeah, and there was nothing really going on. It was kind of a deeper blue, and just a white trim on the sleeves, and a bit of white in the collar. And like that'd be my dress sense as well. I'd be very like plain. I don't like patterns or stripes or any kind of like patterns on my clothes. Like, I like plain clothes. So, last year's jersey I'd say would probably be the top of my one.
What do you make of the new style jerseys? Like, it's a bit tighter on the arms, sort of. What?
Yeah, like we got got our fit nice and big on purpose because they were uncomfortable. Some of the kits that were sent out were just too small, like, and they were very really uncomfortable in under your arms and that. So, but in fairness, now the ones we had last year were nice and comfortable, and they're stretchy kind of around the sleeves, which is nice, So, like I don't really care how big my arms look in the jersey. Like, I prefer to be comfortable in it. Like, now saying that, I wouldn't like to be wearing a big yoke that look like a dress on me, but like once it's comfortable and fits nice, like that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Next question here. Who was the biggest influence on your career, whether that be inter-county or club?
I'd have to say my family. Like, I have 3 older brothers that all played before me, and cousin Philip would have played fullback with Tipperary back in early 2000s, would have won All-Ireland in 2001. And my brother Martin then would have joined and played senior for a number of years, kind of from 2002 to 2006. Right. Cornerback on the team there, in and out, and ultimately had to step away because of injuries, actually knee injuries. Funnily enough, he dislocated his kneecap 4 times, I think, and just had so much wear and tear that just wasn't able to keep it up. So all of those lads and my other 2 brothers, Declan and Sean, would have played minor and under 21 for Tip, didn't represent at senior level, but I always looked up to them, like, growing up. And so you just, when you're the youngest, like anyone who's the youngest of a family of boys, like, they'll know what I mean. Like, you always look up to your older brothers. Like,
you're getting thrown around the place as well.
Oh, you get better around the place. Yeah, like, so I had a tough upbringing in that sense, like, where there was no mercy given to me just because I was the the baby. Like, if anything, they resented me a little bit, I think, because they said I was the spoiled one, like, because I was the youngest. So yeah, I got a fair dishing out when it came to hurling together, like. But no, they were probably the biggest influence, parents and brothers and, you know, close family. I didn't have to look any further than that, luckily enough. Would have had idols, obviously, in Tip, like Tommy Dunn and Owen Kelly and these lads, but I was able to get it in my own house, which was great, and it was a great source of support and motivation, I suppose.
Yeah. Next question now, one of the last ones. Let me see here. I had it circled there. Oh yeah. If you could make any changes to the rules in hurling, would you make any change to it?
The only one I think I'd like to trial is 2 points for a sideline.
Yeah.
I just think, like, you know, there's, with all the unbelievable players we have in the country, there's still only, you know, there's probably not even a full team of lads that you'd say, like, you'd bank on putting a line ball over the bar most of the time. So if that's the case, like, I think, you know, those lads that can do it should be rewarded. Like, you know, I think it's a special skill, and special skills should be rewarded. Like, so I'd like to see that trial to see how it goes, and just to see if it changes lads' kind of approach. Like, to any time there's a line ball inside 65, I'd say lads will probably have a pop at it. But that's probably the only one I'd like to see. I'd like to see trial, I suppose, just to see how it would fare out.
Sounds good. That's it wrapped up now. I think that's everything's covered anyways. All questions that were asked are covered, so all is good.